Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at the Hollywood Racks Destination 4-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. So you can carry a lot of people with your Grand Cherokee L, but what if you also want to carry around a lot of bikes? That's where the Hollywood Racks Destination 4 platform rack comes in handy, because with the ability to carry around a lot of bikes, it's a great entry-level bike rack because you don't have to spend a lot of money that some of those premium racks would have. So we'll talk about those features of this bike rack, since we do have some nice parts like how the mast works and the frame mount works, but we are going to focus on our Grand Cherokee L here to see how it fits with the vehicle so that you can see what is the better fit for you and your different types of bikes. So the first thing we'll talk about is that this bike rack does not tilt away like most of those entry-level racks. So if you wanted to access your hatch real quick, like open this up, grab your water, you would have to take your bike off. Now there are bike racks that do tilt away with the bikes on, like the Kuwait Transfer V2. That could be a good option for you, but this does not do that. Now, what types of bikes can you carry with this rack? You do have a weight capacity of 35 pounds per bike, which is what most of your bike racks will have. If you do have those extra heavy electric bikes though, this would not be a good fit for you. You might consider something like the Yakima Stage 2 for a bike rack instead, with its electric bike weight capacity. Now we do have 1, 2, and 3 mounting points. So 2 of those are going to be for your wheels. Those wheel straps are holding down the front and the rear of your bike. And then you have the middle one, which is going to be your frame mount. And I really like how this frame mount works, especially compared to some of the other bike racks of this price point, because look at how it moves up, down, left, right, and even around for those frames of different shapes and different sizes. Now, if you want to take your bike off, you actually start over at the wheel strap. You just press this lever here, and then you lift up on the strap. You bring that over to the side and swing it away so it doesn't get caught up in your spokes. So again, just press that lever and lift that strap up and out of the way. Now this looks like it may be a big bike rack, but it's actually probably the most compact of the 4 bike platform racks. And this will be different depending on your different bike frames. Like for here, we have plenty of space between our Grand Cherokee and our bike rack that I can actually squeeze in here behind the bike, and that's where I'm gonna access my frame mount. So I'm gonna support the bike with one hand as I lift this strap out of the way with the other. And once that's loose, let's just pop that down. And you can see here how it's a bit easier for us to just bring our bike over that short mast. And now we are ready to go on a bike ride. So I'm just gonna bring our bike over to the side so that we can take a closer look at the rack itself. One thing I'd like you to notice is the cradle design. They don't look like your normal cradles. In fact, they're shaped more like wings to give that extra help for those different wheelbases. So whether you have a long wheelbase, you can move the strap back down there. You can also tilt this back and forth to accommodate them before you tighten down. In fact, the maximum wheelbase you can carry with this bike rack is going to be up to 48 inches. And the maximum tire width is going to be up to 3 inches. So if you have extra wide, fat bike tires, probably not going to be the best fit for you. Now, before we tighten down this frame mount, I'm actually going to lower the mast in order to get access with our hatch. To do so, we have this knob right over here. You're going to want to loosen that knob in order to remove this anchor, and then tighten that knob right back down. You don't have to take it all the way off, because now you can just tilt this mast down. And you have different choices here. You can use your frame mount strap, or you could use your wheel strap in order to secure the mast. But whichever one you choose, I do recommend switching back and forth so that not one strap gets too much overuse. With that tightened down, our mast is now down, and let's see if we have clearance for our hatch without locking it. Let's use our remote here. So we're gonna unlock our car, open up the hatch just to grab our items real quick, and we can clear our bike rack so we can grab our backpacks, our waters, our helmets without having to remove the bike rack itself. So it was kind of a bummer that we had to take the bikes off. That is going to take a bit more time, but it's still nice. We don't have to completely remove the bike rack. Now, I said earlier, this is going to be a slightly more compact rack compared to some of our other 4-bike platform racks. We'll take some measurements from the back of our bumper to the end of the rack where we have these nice white reflectors. It sits at 45 inches of length. So that's a measurement to keep in mind when you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a really tight spot, especially since you already have a larger vehicle. That's something to remember. Another measurement to remember is going to be ground clearance, and that's measured at the end of the rack to the ground, 26 1/4 inches. From the center of the rack to the ground, it's going to be 31 inches. Compare that measurement though over here where our shank is, and that's going to be 20.5 inches. So we have a lot of ground clearance on our Jeep Grand Cherokee L. So in fact, you're not going to be worried about your bikes hitting the ground. What you'd be more concerned about is how high do you have to lift your bikes up in order to mount them to this rack. Now, since you do have that 35-pound weight capacity, that's also a good thing because then you're not lifting extra heavy electric bikes up there. Now, what if we're not planning on going out for a bike ride just yet? Or what if this does not fit into your garage as it is? What you can do is you can fold this up. So you just remove that pin and then you rotate this bolt here so that you can remove that and then lift up on your rack. This is actually pretty lightweight for a 4-bike platform rack as well. So pop that pin right back in where you took that out. You do have a little bit of a thread on there, so just remember to tighten that back down, and once it's tightened down, you have that clip at the end to secure it. This is actually a really important process because you want to make sure that your bike doesn't wobble around as you drive around. And now it's folded up into the compact or portable position. Let's take some measurements real quick. We're going to measure for closest point. Does it make contact with our Jeep? Measuring from, I guess the closest point would be our bumper to our frame mount, and that's going to be 7 inches of clearance. Plenty of clearance there. Next measurement is from our bottom bumper to our hinge, and that's 17 inches there. So we don't have to worry about this taking up more room when you're driving around town and you're worried about how much space you have. This is the position you'll want it in. But what is it like living with a bike rack behind you all the time? Well, notice with it folded up like this, see where our rear windshield is? We're just slightly above where our windshield wiper is. So you are still gonna get a pretty good view from your rear window. Another thing is gonna be your taillights. So see how it doesn't cover. It covers just like 1/4 of your taillight, and you still have pretty much full visibility there. Your license plate is gonna be kind of covered by this bike rack, but with this open grid design, you should be good. Your backup camera is centered on the bike rack. So what's going to happen there is you are going to see the bike rack in your backup camera view, but you'll also be able to see the view past it. If that's going to be a major issue for you though, I say go ahead, drive around with it in the down position. Just don't forget that it's there. Now, let's talk about how it fits into the hitch. So we have a 2-inch shank, which fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. We have an anti-rattle bolt, and I use a 3/4 inch socket to tighten that bolt down. We have a lock at the end. In fact, our lock is kind of in the way of our wiring harness here. So you may just want to put this on the other side or have your wiring harness offset. But anyways, with this tightened down, that's an anti-rattle bolt. Let's do a little bit of a shake test. So I'm going to shake the bike rack back and forth and even up and down. If you notice a little bit of wobble, just double check in the center of your rack when you fold it up to make sure that's threaded through, because otherwise it should be a very stable bike rack. So my personal thoughts about the Hollywood Racks Destination bike rack for 4 bikes is that this is definitely an upgrade from your hanging racks at the same price point. Many people, when they like to carry around a lot of bikes, they're interested in the hanging rack, but they don't realize how much the bikes sway into each other. With all those trays separated from each other, your bikes are going to have a nice stable service as you drive around. This is an entry-level rack though, so you don't have all of the features that you might expect from a premium rack. If you want your bike rack to tilt away, you may want to check out the Quad Transfer V2. If you want an easier way to mount and dismount your bikes, again, the Quad Transfer V2. And if you want more weight capacity, the Yakima Stage 2 might be a good option for you. But if you don't need those extra things, you're just looking for a good bike rack, the Destination definitely checks off most of those boxes and is still a great option. So this was a look at the Hollywood Racks Destination 4-bike platform rack on our 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.